to a congressional race, and she has put her hat in as a working mom, advocate, public affairs leader, and now a candidate for Congress. So please help me welcome to the Lady Charmaine Live Show, Miss Lauren Tomlinson. So Lauren, thank you, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lady Charmaine. It's a pleasure to be here with you and all the wonderful folks that listen to your show.
Thank you. Now, okay, so I want this conversation to be today. I want it to be more than politics. I want listeners to get to know your heart, your journey, and also your purpose, and why this moment matters personally and professionally to you, okay? So before we talk about policies and politics, introduce us to Lauren Tomlinson, the woman, the mother, and the person. Who are you behind the campaign signs and the headlines?
I am a God-fearing, goofy lady.
Okay.
If I had to sum it up, and now I'd say super mom. So I've got a 15-month-old son, and I absolutely adore being his mom. He don't care about the titles. He don't care I'm running for Congress. He just want me to put yogurt on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm about is community. What I'm about is our people. And what I'm about is making sure that the world is better than what I grew up with. And in my story, I'm from Detroit originally, and I was raised with strong Black women, and they taught me to take care of my community and the people around me. And that's what I will continue to do in my life, and that's what I'm about, is just being honest, transparent, and living my values.
Because I know that people, when they connect to people who are authentic, and you appear to be that to me, especially when people see and hear someone's story. So as we get ready to go into your story, so you've openly shared that you understand firsthand the pressures of families, what families are facing today, the rise in grocery costs to child care and housing. What are some of the everyday life experiences that pushed you toward public service?
Well, that's exactly it. I've spent my career in politics and more behind the scenes of your favorite, state, local legislation, and I was very happy there. But I think that in this climate, everything is not working for families, particularly families like mine. I mean, as you said, I can't afford Costco gas right now, right? And, that 15-month-old love them to death, but raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries cost money. And so when we look at why we are struggling as families, there's something that's not going right. And we need to get government back on track, because one thing I grew up knowing is that government's supposed to work for people. My grandma raised 6 kids after her veteran husband passed away with a Social Security check. And that wasn't an entitlement, that was something earned to make sure that our family could live well, and we need to get back to making sure government is providing the resources to lower costs for families.
Now, something that was personal to you, took care of your grandmother who had Alzheimer's.
I did.
Mm-hmm. So, while you were still in high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So, okay, what did that season of your life, how did it shape the compassion and the determination that you carry today?
That's a great question. I think about my grandmother every day, and we just had Mother's Day, so happy belated Mother's Day to you and all the mothers. And my mom got me a really special gift. She got me a brooch with my grandma's face on it that says, "I'm always with you." And it really touched my spirit, because a lot of this journey I've had to think back about that time when we spent together, and I always looked at that as an opportunity. This is just how you show up for your family. It really wasn't something I thought of. My mom was working, and they needed somebody to step in and help out with my grandmother who raised me, right? And so it taught me compassion and the importance of letting our seniors age with dignity and grace. Mm-hmm. We have to take care of our aging seniors, and that's something that is instilled in me through my own experience, but also because they deserve the best. And that's what's really hurting me right now, is in the district I'm hearing from a lot of seniors who can't afford medication, heart medication, all because they need a roof over their heads. And so it just hurts my heart to know that there are seniors out there that are trying to, make it work, and it's just not enough. Mm-hmm. And we've got to take care of them.
Mm-hmm. So what was the defining moment where you said to yourself, I'm just going to talk about change. I'm going to run for Congress?
Well, I like to say it was my postpartum brain. I don't know. I mean, I just had a baby, and so I was like, well, I can keep this kid alive. I better change the world and make it great for him, And really, what people kept asking me, Lady Charmaine, they said, well, you should run, you should run, you should run. And I think as a woman, you always question if it's the right time, the right place, the right moment. And I had all those questions, but I said, if not me, then who, right? And in this season, there's so much going wrong that I just want to be a part of right. And, was it John Lewis that said we got to get into good trouble? And so part of me was seeing people lose access to healthcare, seeing them dismantle the Department of Education, seeing my seniors struggle to put food on the table and have a roof over their head. And quite frankly, the next generation is going to inherit what happens next. And so we better be in positions of power to make good decisions, because we all are going to inherit the world that we're going to live in. And that really motivated me to say, you know what, let me roll up my sleeves and get to work.
Okay. So looking back at your career journey, what experiences do you believe prepared you most for leadership at the congressional level?
Sure. I would say the biggest thing that was pivotal in my leadership journey was I was the chair of the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls appointed by the governor. I was the youngest chair in the history of the state of California. And I had that role at a very unique time where COVID was just absolutely devastating communities, particularly women and girls were most directly impacted by COVID. And I decided to create a $5 million grant program to make sure that we could get our community back on track. And so that's the creative solutions we need to be able to move things forward for people.
That's amazing. So if you worked in spaces where conversations can become deeply emotional and political, okay, which can cause a political divide, how have those experiences strengthened your ability to lead, listen, and work with people who may not always agree with you?
Yeah, I think that's a key piece of leadership and a key piece of building relationships, right? In any relationship, there's give and take, and you don't always have to agree with everybody to treat them with dignity and respect. At least that's how I was raised. And so, when you think about Congress, it's a divided Congress where nothing gets done because everybody's so stuck in only talking to their people. And in my career, I've only been successful when I bring people along. And so how I do that is making sure I can find some common ground and really listen to where the people are at and see where we can make ground. And I don't always win and we don't always agree, but you will be respected and heard. And we need to start doing that so we can heal this country. We can't continue to let frivolous things divide us, because at the end of the day, we're one community.
You're the only African-American that's even running in District 6. African-American woman?
Yes, ma'am. Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm the only African-American running in District 6, and I'm the only African-American running in an entire Prop 50 seat. So as you recall, we had a special election to create 5 new congressional seats in California after Texas redrew their maps unfairly. And so Black voters overwhelmingly supported Prop 50, and I'm the only Black candidate that's running in one of the seats.
Wow. So, okay, me and my husband, we were talking about this, and then we're going to get back. But we had a deep conversation last night. I said, growing up, the only votes that mattered was when you were voting for president. I wasn't paying attention to the assembly. I wasn't paying attention to Congress. I wasn't paying attention to county supervisors. I wasn't paying attention to city council. Those conversations wasn't happening in my home. So when you start looking at Congress, there are some people out there that may not even know what a congressperson does and how you fight for us and represent us. Please, because I didn't even know at one time. So I want to talk to the people that were like me, that didn't even, okay, I heard of Congress. Look, I heard of Congress. I don't know what they do. So can you please explain to our listening audience the power of our congressman?
Absolutely. So Congress is critical because everything in our lives is political, right? And so the first thing I want people to think about is April 1, SNAP benefits were cut for people. So people in this community lost access to food and food stamps and their ability to put food on the table just because of red tape that was put into a law that is bad. So now you got people struggling and starving because of decisions made by Congress. And so if we want to restore those cuts, we need people in office that are going to make sure that we're putting food on the table and not giving money to corporations. Another thing is Section 8 vouchers for housing. That's from the Department of Urban HUD and Housing. They just cut Section 8 vouchers for people who were in line and did their paperwork. So we need people to go to Congress to restore those cuts so people get housing. So that's food, housing, and the last thing I'll talk about is healthcare. They just cut benefits for Medicaid, Medi-Cal recipients here in the state, particularly for children and seniors. And so if we can't get our healthcare, then how are we going to live well? So just in that moment alone, you've got food, education, housing, all things that are the responsibility of Congress, and we need people that are going to show up.
So what does leadership mean to you personally, and how is your leadership style different from what many other voters feel that they've experienced from traditional politicians?
Well, I've never run for office before. Never thought about running for office until things got so bad, and I think that that's what makes me the best candidate is, look, I'm not doing this because I want another title next to my name. I'm doing this because we need black representation, full stop, because when black people are empowered, they think about how everybody's life is going to be better. And I just want to take a note to say that the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act recently, which means that approximately 30% of the members of color in the South will no longer have seats. So the Supreme Court just said that racism doesn't exist in this country anymore, and so we don't need black or minority majority seats in the South. So I bring that up to say, how powerful are we that they are trying to cheat, lie, and destroy to take away our power? And that's why we have to elect new leaders who are going to roll up their sleeves and fight for our rights, because I often say this is my generation's civil rights movement. My ancestors died for the right to vote. They paid poll taxes. They did the hard work in the 60s. And now our generation has to show up and make sure that our kids don't have less rights than we do.
That's good. So out of all the issues you're fighting for, which one feels the most personal to your heart and why?
Probably childcare. I am paying more for childcare than I am my mortgage. And this generation is just paying more for childcare than any other generation has. And so if we're talking about economics, right, people working and taking care of their families, you can't really do that if your kid's not safe. And so we have got to figure out ways to lower the cost of healthcare. That's a huge priority to me as a mom. And we need to make sure that we're paying our childcare workers appropriately because they do the Lord's work. So that's something that I'm deeply, deeply rooted in and hoping to solve because it's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah. So during difficult moments, criticism, and long days on the campaign trail, my sister, what keeps you grounded and reminds you why you started this journey?
Every day is hard. I would say, I come from a strong, God-fearing family, and so on a bad day, we were talking about music before the show, I'll put some gospel on, a little Fred Hammond, Kurt Franklin a little bit, something to just get my mind back into the spirit of this is my purpose in this moment. And purpose can be hard, right? It's not all rose-colored glasses, but we do it because it's what we should be doing, and so I just look towards higher power and recognize that I'm setting an example for the next generation of leaders who want to make the world a better place.
Okay, so when voters hear your story and head to the ballot box, what do you hope people will say about Lauren Babb Tomlinson and the kind of leader you would be for Congressional District 6?
I hope when people, I hope to earn their support, and I'd like to see you all check that box for Lauren Babb Tomlinson if you live in East Sac, Roseville, Rockland, Citrus Heights, Natomas. That's the new district. But I hope that they will recognize that I'm just like them. I'm a mom, a former union organizer, a leader, and we can have transparent leaders who show up in community. And I want to be honest, direct, clear, and really earn the support of the people by showing up in community.
All right. And we need our community to show up at the ballot box, which is June 2nd. But you know what? You can vote now. Find your local libraries if they have a ballot box. Don't wait to June 2nd. You can vote now. So thank you so much. And remember, the thoughts and the opinions are not those of the California Black Chamber of Commerce or the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And I want to say thank you so much, Laura, for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you, Lady Charmaine. Amazing work.
Thank you. And don't forget, June 2nd,